Hello everyone, my name is Jesus Gomez and I'll be introducing the global presentation for Group 9 and our focus was Brazil. The school that we chose was Aubric, located in Sao Paulo. Aubric integrates a dynamic bilingual education for their students, focusing on Portuguese and English. They use a heteroglossic enrichment bilingual model where students are immersed in both languages with some exceptions in the later half of their education. Students are integrated in bilingual education from the start all the way to sixth form education, which is equivalent to 11th and 12th grade in the United States. Aubric focuses on aligning academic excellence and humanistic education to provide a holistic and memorable education experience. The physical location is open with lots of flexibility with seating, walking accessibility, and lots of greenery. Aubric's philosophy is made up of four key components. Their reason is to build a world where everyone is cooperative, ethical, and harmonious. To promise students the necessary components to be able to use anywhere in the world, including Brazil. Emphasizing Brazilian identity with a multicultural approach and inviting any and all students from all over the world, and creating opportunities for networking, learning, personalized views with plans, and constant updates within their education journey. With this being said, Aubric promotes diversity of people and ideas, and with being bilingual from the start, students are provided with wider access for information that they can use to succeed in their classes and education journey, while also implementing activities that are closely connected to their identity, history, and values. And lastly, skillful teachers are given the opportunity for continuous learning in their field and to be able to better cater to their students and implement said activities.
I'm Victoria, and I'm going to talk about the operational factors. Outbreak is for students ages 3 to 18. They accept both Brazilian and foreign students as long as foreign students know Portuguese. In terms of curriculum, they integrate the Brazilian national curriculum and the Cambridge International curriculum. For extra criteria, at the end of high school, they have to take the Cambridge International AS and A level exams. The teachers at Aubrix must have a C2 proficiency in English, a bachelor's degree in pedagogy, and pass a public competitive exam. Aubrich describes their teachers as being qualified professionals and skillful. Teachers are also granted with professional development in order for them to better support their students' social, emotional, and academic skills. In terms of parent involvement, in nursery school, parents will follow closely along in order to make the school adaptation process gradual. Aubric also prides itself in creating bonds of trust and comfort between home and school in order to ensure that each child feels welcome and safe. And for student support, they offer educational support and tutoring in tutoring in Portuguese, math, and English, where they work in small groups that better care for their individual needs. A pedagogical coordinator at Albrecht says that their commitment is to educate students to be truly bilingual. Literacy is taught simultaneously in Portuguese and English, and after becoming literate, children take regular subjects such as math and English. In this way, they ensure that fluency and learning are effective in both languages while also preserving the student's cultural identity. To go more into detail about language allocation, in playgroup, which is for students about a year old, they hear all the material in English. And then in nursery school, which is around our kindergarten equivalent, students are totally immersed in the second language. English is seen as the first language for them to communicate until they're about 5 years old. And they hear English for about 70 to 100% of the time. Then in K4 and K5, they start to receive music and PE classes in Portuguese. And for primary school, all their classes happen in both languages through a curricular integration, and here they learn to read in both languages simultaneously, but they still spend a little bit more than half their time in English. And in secondary education, some classes are solely in English and others are solely in Portuguese. They also offer other languages like Spanish. Their curriculum is designed to ensure excellence, attention to individuality, and diverse opportunities.
All right, situational factors for Sao Paulo, Brazil. The geography and demographics. Sao Paulo is the largest city in Brazil and the most populated city in the southern hemisphere in Americas. The population is about 11.9 million as of 2024, and the highest demographic is actually white with 60.6%. The students. The number of students enrolled in all grade levels is approximately 8.8 million, but the number of students enrolled in Albrecht only is about 917 students. The students' economic background is class A upper class is about 3.3%, Class B upper middle class is 29.6%, Class C middle class is 47.1%, and Class D lower class in poverty is 20.1%. The target students for Aubric would be Class A and B because they are able to afford the costly tuition of the program. The linguistic background. Families with language other than English spoken at home is about only 5%. The language minority is Portuguese as the official language, then English and Spanish. The language minorities are other heritage languages like French, German, Italian, Mandarin, and they're typically available at private schools. Language policy. Being the official language Portuguese, some of the issues that arise in the government is that they're trying to maintain indigenous languages. Then they're also trying to make local initiatives on immigrant languages, so it's more accepted in the communities. And then lastly, the bilingual schools need to ensure they're following national guidelines that follow an additive model instead of a subtractive model. Population diversity. So the literacy rate is about 97%. High school graduates is about 50.5%. Bachelor's degree or higher is about 23.3%. And then the opportunity for language use is for Portuguese, it's administration, law, media, and commerce. For English, it's finance, marketing, tourism, and technology. For Spanish, it's mergers and acquisitions with Latin America, other type of regional business and manufacturing industries. And then for Mandarin, it's investments. And then for other minority languages, it's trade ties with other countries.
Hi, my name is Nick, and I'll be presenting the second part of the situational factors for Aubric School in Brazil. Aubric is specifically bilingual school, offering Portuguese and English program. Within the school, the status of the language is parallel, with an emphasis on both languages due to the multilingual habits of the school, as well as the upper class status of the nature of the area, allowing English to be an uplifted opportunity for people to gain an educational prowess internationally and gain recognition that way. Furthermore, when you look at the linguistic characteristics of Portuguese and English, they have similar phonetics due to being both from a Indo-European language family, much like Spanish and similarly English. Having the connection of the bilingual program allows acquisition of both languages together. It helps the learning process when you have similar phonetics, noun, verb, adjectives, and adverb categories, allowing for the assimilation of the languages to be much more fluid and easier for the children and students to develop. Looking elsewhere, you can look at the comparative education programs in Sao Paulo. The International School for Avenues in Sao Paulo is a large global campus. However, it doesn't have the multilingual recognition through Cambridge's stamp of approval, so it doesn't have the international strength, much like the Aubric School does in Sao Paulo. Furthermore, St. John's International School doesn't really have a family-oriented bilingual program, and it's more focused on teaching international students rather than taking current students of the population and uplifting them through the dual language program. Furthermore, the economics of the area, it is a very affluent area. Campbell and Brooklyn within the vicinity are very wealthy. It's a middle class to upper middle class area. Aubric's presence shows that example of private higher education allowing for sustainable second language learning ability through wealth. More situational factors. There's a very diverse breakdown in Sao Paulo, specifically looking at religious-wise. There's a large Catholic population, much like the rest of Brazil. However, the Jewish and Muslim population are within the top 1 or 2 of the totality of cities within Brazil. Furthermore, they have a demographic breakdown of Italian, Portuguese, African, Arab, Japanese, German, and much more on to Bolivian immigrants, which shows a cultural identity within Sao Paulo that is very diverse and very unique.
So my name is Christian, and I'm going to be talking about the outcome factors of the Aubric language program. So the first outcome factor of this program is its linguistic goals, and this goal can be best characterized as the development of plurilingual proficiency. So based on a definition given in Chapter 7 of the Garcia reading, plurilingualism is the goal of programs that encourage the use of 2 or more languages in functional interrelationship and that include all children. So the key bit here is that it encourages functional interrelationship with multiple different languages. So although, as we stated before, The focus of the program is mainly on teaching English as a second language to Brazilian Portuguese-speaking students. It's still better characterized as a plurilingual program because the school also accepts a number of international students who learn English in addition to Portuguese, as well as strengthening their own native language, which creates that functional interrelationship with multiple languages by encouraging a multilingual environment in the school, not just one with English and Portuguese only. So the second outcome factor of this program is its literacy goals. So for this goal, Albrecht aims for full biliteracy in English and other languages. According to their website, the school focuses on total immersion in students' first years at the school, especially through reading. And this is done with the specific goal of preparing students for written exams in English. And because of this, the reason why their literacy goal can be considered full biliteracy is ultimately due to the school's prioritization of developing students' abilities to take entry exams to universities outside Brazil fully in English. And so the third outcome factor is its sociocultural goals. And this goal can be summarized as a goal to strengthen national identity in an international context. So what does this mean? How do we arrive at this as their main cultural goal? So according to their website, one of Albrecht's objectives is to strengthen Brazilian identity, but through the rest of its posts, it at the same time uses language referring to its students as global citizens and heavily emphasizes the school's international connections, like its connection to Cambridge, for example. So ultimately, what this is showing is that the school's goal is to expose Brazilian students to multiple cultures through English language education, as we discussed in the first outcome factor, so that they can learn not only about English-speaking cultures, but about cultures around the globe and even in their own communities through the English language. As well as this, it encourages students to think of themselves not only as Brazilians, but also as members of an interconnected, globalizing world.
So these are the advantages, disadvantages, and interests. For advantages, the classes are divided into smaller groups so that the needs of individual students are met. And the school focuses on socio-emotional support for students, offering counseling services and well-being practices. And students are able to learn English, Portuguese, and Spanish. And they place a lot of value on playtime and art exploration so that students can express their feelings and creativity. And the school is connected to Cambridge International, which offers preparation for higher education, and they offer support for children aged 3 to 18. For disadvantages, you do have to pay tuition fees, so it may not be accessible for everyone, especially those who are low income. However, Albrecht does offer a limited amount of scholarships so that some students will get the opportunity to attend the school, but not everyone. What I found most interesting was the emphasis on socio-emotional development, which is very different from other schools. And they offer a range of activities such as ballet, mindfulness games, yoga, theater, futsal, table tennis, and volleyball. And the direct support from Cambridge International School is really helpful to prepare students to study in other countries around the world. And courses are offered in 3 languages, and they accept international students, which increases diversity and cultural learning. These are our sources, and that's it. Thank you.